Well, Ledge, welcome back to Reading Football Club. Has it felt like a little bit like a return home for you?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of familiar faces and, had some really good times here. So, to come back and, be able to, work with some people that obviously were here when I was here is fantastic.
You say there's familiar faces and probably a few new faces too, but hopefully they've all welcomed you into the group here at Hogwood very quickly.
Yeah, no, everyone's been great from the get-go, really. Different sort of settings for me now, but it's good to see what really goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, when you're playing, it's kind of just what happens on the training field and on match days, but you kind of see the bigger picture now. So everyone's been very welcoming.
Before we kind of talk about your role that you're taking on now, let's think what you've been doing the last couple of years. How have you been occupying yourself? How have you been keeping yourself busy?
So when I finished playing, I obviously wanted to stay in football and started to take my badges. So I gained my UEFA B licence with the PFA, which was good. And I've been working with Hungerford, the first team, and their sort of college programme academy. So I've gained a little bit of experience coaching, and that's something which I'd like to continue to do, hopefully here.
And of course you'll be looking after the kind of the loan spells and things of some of our younger boys, and how important that's going to be for a lot of these young players who are aspiring to kind of break into Reading eventually.
Yeah, of course. I was fortunate enough to go on loan in my younger days, which I think helped sort of groom me into being able to compete against grown men, and it'll be important for some of these guys who aren't going to be sort of involved in the first team to go out and gain that playing experience. And you got fans shouting at you, and not just parents on the sidelines. So it'll be good for them, and hopefully I can help them and offer them a bit of guidance and support going forward.
Yeah, as you say, I mean the more recent of your two loan spells was here at Reading, but as you said there, I think it was at Leighton Orient, wasn't it? When you were at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And what are your kind of memories from that time? I guess as you said there, it was just really useful just to in a very competitive environment, playing regularly and all those factors.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was 18, just turning 19, and I went away with the first team with Wimbledon, and we had some great pros there. But for me, going to play in the old Division 3, what it was back then, I gained some valuable experience, which, like I said, helped probably groom me into the player that I did become eventually.
And that's going to be the same boat. You'll be able to empathise with a lot of the players we've got here. I mean, you saw the game over at Swindon on Tuesday, and there's a lot of young talent, and not everyone's going to be able to play in the first team. So it's about finding the right clubs and keeping an eye on them when they're there as well.
Yeah, of course. Ultimately we want to get as many of the younger players into the first team as possible. Not, like you say, not everyone can play, so it kind of gives them a little bit of help going to gain that experience, and I'm sure will help them when they do get their chance to come and play in Reading's first team.
And your role in particular will be really bridging that gap and making sure that what they're doing when they're out on loan is kind of being noted, and making sure that's fed back to the manager, and making sure that checking in with their loan clubs and all those little things that are going to really make sure they're not just kind of like just given to another club and then forgotten about almost.
Yeah, I mean you see it happen all the time. I've spoke to fellow professionals when they're loaned out and you don't hear or see them until they might pop up with a goal or something like that. So it'd be good, obviously, again, just to offer some help and support, obviously feedback on how they're doing, and situations at clubs change. So obviously the loan window's changed a little bit now, but if it is a 6 month, then potentially someone could come back if needed in January and fit right in.
And of course it must be helpful. You've been away from here for a couple of years, but you've probably in that time come back and you see players like Josh Barrett's getting into the first team, Jake Cooper's established himself, John Beaters just nailed down that position.
Yeah.
It's really it shows that this club in particular has that pathway.
Yeah, of course. It's been great for players like Jordan. Obviously he was coming through when I was still here, so and Jake I trained with regularly. Obviously Josh Barrett's probably a newer one, and people like Liam Kelly and even Tish Bowler, who came through and has gone on for 5 mil, whatever it was. So it shows that it does work, and the whole loan system with Tish as well proved vital to where he is now.
And the kind of quality of the young players we've got here and the quantity, I mean, it means that your role becomes particularly important. You know, the whole academy structure, it's got to be looked after well, and I'm sure you're looking forward to working with everyone here.
Yeah, of course. Jealous that I can't be out training with them, but no, it will be great working with some of them. You know, they're good lads. A lot of them remember me, which is good. So we've got a kind of good relationships already with these guys. So just want to obviously continue that and be as much help as I can going forward for them.
And finally, we've got to touch on your kind of career with Reading. I mean, I'm going to ask you a bit about your standout moments. There's got to be one in particular, I'm sure.
Yeah, obviously scoring the goal to get us promoted. You know, a fantastic memory for me and for the club, and obviously something that will, you know, remain with me for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's nice to be remembered for things like that, good things, you know, and helping getting the club into the promised land.
And a lot of the fans, you know, they're very happy to hear you back, and I guess it's nice, isn't it, when you kind of have that affinity with the football club, and especially when you kind of join a bit later in your career. It doesn't always happen, does it?
No, not at all. You know, when I came, I was at QPR, and you know, I wasn't needed at the time at QPR, so it was kind of refreshing to come and play somewhere where you wanted, and you know, we were fortunate enough to get to the playoffs. Obviously, it wasn't to be, and the following year we went one better. So yeah, it's nice to come back where people kind of, you know, enjoyed what you did on the pitch. So hopefully I can, you know, just repay the faith in a different way.
Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.